Yes, it's pretty cool. There's one with the one I was saying and could have two people share. Like,
good morning, everybody. It is 8 a.m. and we are going to start right on time today. We're excited to have you for this really fun show. I had the experience, the great pleasure of attending this university at CCM this fall, and we got to do some video and watch what the GAs were teaching in their classes. And so we got some of the video for you guys to watch, and then they are going to share with you some of their cool things that they use in their classrooms. I do need to mention, Dr. Conda is the one who is so instrumental in helping these GAs put this program together. I saw some super innovative things. I hope we have time to talk to you guys about some of the things that I saw that I liked. For this first section, you're going to hear 5 songs, and it's going to be your job to vote for your favorite songs. It doesn't have to be voting for the performer. We want to know which songs are the most appealing for you to teach. These were written for very young students. So you can have your elementary students performing these songs. They're built to look really difficult, but learn really quickly. So we're going to start off then. If you want to get this up already, I don't know if your phone can see that far. If you haven't done a QR code, then look around, ask your neighbor how to do it. I'll give you 20 more seconds to try to find that link. Don't fill out the form yet, because you want to hear the pieces before you vote which piece you like the most. When you get to the form, it's going to ask you this thing. You simply just vote which piece that you liked the most. And then if you would like the sheet music for all of these pieces, the PDF, I will go ahead and email you a copy to say yes on that, and then give me your name and email. All right. If you missed the little thing, there it is. I'm going to put that up a little bit later as well. So if you missed it, we'll see it again. All right. Let's begin with our very first song. Angela Lau, Jimmy Cheung, Molly Sanford, and Meishan Lin. The piece is called Classical Showdown, and this is usually like a 7-year-old would do just fine. I had a 7-year-old learn this piece in, never played piano before, learned it in 3 weeks. So, it's a fun little piece. We're ready when you guys are. Classical Showdown 2, performed by Nuoya Zhang, Euna Choi, Hyrum Arnesen, Binh Anh Nguyen. Okay, that piece is a little bit harder. I would say middle school through high school for that one. There is a third one coming, Classical Showdown 3, but it's not finished yet. Next, we have Boogie and My Woogie, Diana Chubak, Nuoya Zhang, Angela Lau, and Jimmy Cheung. Give them a round of applause.
One, two, three, four.
next one is Stomp. Molly Sanford, Euna Choi, Hyrum Arnesen, and Meishan Nguyen. All right, who's ever used one of these things before? You want to do it? The next one? Come on up. Just point and shoot. It's a gimbal.
Is it like a gyroscope? How is it
Yeah,
keep
how does it keep?
floating?
Yeah, if you push this button, it holds everything still. Go wherever you want.
Wow.
Coolest thing of the show? Okay, so it's good.
Whoa.
Oh, I'm not gonna be very good at this.
All right, just point and shoot.
What is your name? You don't have your name tag on.
Aaron Garner.
Sorry, I know you're famous, but
Not that big.
not that famous, right?
Did it just die? Oh, it's good.
I hate to miss your.
Start over.
That's okay. All right. That was one of my personal favorites, just watching students play that. I can't get enough of it. So it's a fun one.
And it's called?
It's called Mission Impasta. All right. It is time for the voting to start, and let's see who voted for what. What's that? Agent Santiago. That one is not on the list. We didn't play it. Sorry.
Here, do
Play
you
that
want me
next
to
time.
send these around in case?
Yeah. If you don't, raise your hand if you don't have a phone or way to do this. We'll pass this iPad around. Let's see. Is there a way to update this voting so we can see where you guys have voted? So it looks like the winner is I Love Them All Equally. Oh,
They're
thank
so
you.
nice.
And then Agent Santiago.
That's a class.
That's a classical showdown 1 is a big winner. And Stomp. They liked the black horn. All right. Did everybody get a chance to vote, or should I update this again? We'll move on. All right, so let's move on to how sight reading, how to help students become better readers. We have Hyrum Arnesen and Binh on, who's going to talk to us a little bit today. Let me show a video first.
Piano Marvel has a huge repository of different pieces and exercises. So if you're using Piano Marvel, you can sight read a whole bunch of different things, and the SAS, or the Standard Assessment of Sight Reading, pulls from that and helps students, finds where the student is and gives them these exercises to improve their reading, and also gives them a score or way to see their progress through. Instead of just I'm sight reading something, it's I'm getting better at sight reading as I keep doing this every time. Music reading, note reading is really important to the outcome of the course.
I've used Piano Marvel for this entire academic year so far. And before that, I used it just a couple times in private lessons, like with kid students, or to do a Sasser test just individually. But this is the first year that we're using it for group piano. I had found out about it in the AMT magazine, and specifically it was talking about the Sasser for sight reading. And I personally, I feel behind on my sight reading, or I did. It's really helped them to keep going no matter what, and just keep listening for the beat in their head so that they can imagine like that scrolling with them like it does on Piano Marvel. And I think that that's really, really helped their sight reading compared to previous semesters, because we would do the same type of activities, but you can only hear a teacher say so many times, keep going, keep imagining the beat. But it's so different until you actually feel it and hear it with something behind you just making you do that. So they've really, I think, improved, and that will help them a lot in their careers, because we do try to prepare them for that situation where they're in front of a choir and all of a sudden need to read something. We try and drill it into their heads that it's okay if you make a mistake, you have to just keep going, you have to just get in the rhythm. And so all of the sight reading practice that they've been doing has really helped with that. So we do formal settings of sight reading too, like tests and boards, but we do all this training with boot camps and Sasser and activities so that hopefully it becomes a little bit more second nature for them and they can really apply those skills.
So I have them do one sight reading test each week. And then I also encourage them to create some personal sight reading goals, which could be I'm going to take it 2 times a week, or I'm going to sight read pieces in anything, Piano Marvel, the method books, wherever, for 5 minutes a day, something like that. And so they're always reading stuff. And Piano Marvel has, just like I said, a lot of music that they can pull from and do that with.
So I tried it out for myself, actually, and I really liked it, and I figured it could be a good teaching tool for my students.
Okay, so we're going to show you a little bit more of what that video was talking about with the Sasser, the Standard Assessment of Sight Reading. And first of all, I wanted to start off with just reviewing some of the challenges we face in teaching sight reading to students, whether it's in a group lesson or private teaching. And I think that sight reading should be a major aim of both methods of teaching. For music majors, they really need to know how to sight read, so when they get that first job, they can accompany their choir or their students. And for non-music majors, that's how they're going to be experiencing music mostly throughout their life. So one of the first challenges is and gives you a large variety of different styles. You also need to find a way to help a student be motivated to sight read. I think for me, when I sit down and sight read, after about 10 minutes, it's just hard and boring. And sight reading practice in a lesson or in a group lesson can take a lot of time, and you might want to spend that on technique, repertoire, other types of skills. So that's something that this helps with. And you also need to have a way for a student to always have a steady beat even when the teacher isn't there clapping along or saying, keep going, keep going. So these are some of the challenges, and we'll see how these are addressed by the standard assessment of sight reading.
Right, so to overcome one of the most critical issues in sight reading, which is the lack of available music, Piano Marble Extensive Library is an excellent resource. And it features an enormous variety of different genre and levels. So as you can see here, we have pop, jazz, blues, TV, film music, method, classical, you name it. We have it all. As well as various arrangement of the same piece in different levels. And furthermore, Piano Marble offers boot camps, monthly challenges that instructor can use to foster a competitive spirit in their group classes. And in my class, they just really love it. And to motivate students. With Piano Marble, I don't think students or teacher will have any problem of run out of options in terms of choosing the right repertoire. Now, having an extensive repertoire library comes with the challenge of how do you filter it down so that you find the right piece with students' skill level. And fortunately, Piano Marble provides a solution for this with the sight reading test, SASR, or sight reading assessment and skill evaluation. So this tool enables students to assess their sight reading skill and identify pieces that are appropriate for their level. Let's see how it works. All right, so when you first start, you will be prompted to choose if you think you're a beginner, and so on. In this case, if you think you're advanced, you have 20 seconds to look through a 8D level piece.
Set, go.
And you will notice that they're keeping the beat for you, which is so important for students. Let's see the score. 90. So not perfect, but really good enough so that Sasso suggests you a 9A piece. All right, again, 20 seconds to look through. Let's see how we do. Oh, 30. All right, not so good. So Sasso really notice that and push you down to level 8D, like you can see there. How about this time? Oh, 0. So as you can see there, we have 2 strikes because we have 2 times. So let's see how we do this last time. And it's very smart, so it tells you that right now you are doing 8A level.
Go.
Alright, last time. Oh, too bad. So with 3 times of the strike, you are out and the test finishes. But of course, in case that you just keep going, keep getting it right, then it will push you with a high level pieces, so it can theoretically go forever. Right. In this case, I think we have like an 800 level, and then student can go to the library and search for level 8 pieces to try out.
That was me taking the saucer. Purposely make mistakes. You may have noticed the little blue thing going along, so that helps the student know exactly where they are and stay very steady. So after you're done, like you saw, you get a score, and it gives you a chart. So you can see this student's progress goes up and down. Some are better than others, but overall the trend is going up. And this is a great motivation for students. They see this and they want to get better. They want to get to the next level. On the left you'll see the student can see where they are in relation to, are they an early beginner student, are they a piano teacher, or are they a prodigy sight reader? They can see where they kind of rank. And this really gamifies the sight reading experience. It's like a video game. And I see this with my students they're very motivated. Whenever I say we're going to take 15 minutes to take the Sasser, they are so focused because they want to get a better score. So another thing I like about this chart is it shows an objective way to show you progress. In my experience, when I sight read, I have no idea if I'm getting better at sight reading. I assume I am because I'm just doing more and more of it. And maybe after 5 years, I come back to the same piece and I'm like, oh, I think I can read this better now. So that's great. But this shows you a specific score so that you can get better. So we saw amount of repertoire, there's lots of repertoire. The time you can do this on your own, doesn't have to be in a lesson. It personalizes it to the student, and it offers a wonderful motivation and helps them keep a steady beat. So that's a little bit about the Sasser. We'll now turn it over to Molly and Deanna to talk about teaching students to practice effectively.
And I think we'll go ahead and display, this is one of Molly's speakers, right?
Hey, my name is Audrey Weber. I'm from Lexington, Kentucky, and I'm a first-year music education student here, focused in the choral track. I really like the instant feedback that it gives you because it'll show you, like when you record it in, it'll show you exactly what notes you get right, what notes you get wrong, and it'll give you a score, like percentage-wise. So that's really helpful, especially if I'm focusing so hard on when I'm playing so that I can see, okay, this is where I missed it and that's where I need to work on. So the practice mode is really nice because it's not forcing you to keep moving. So you can really take your time and be like, okay, this is the note, and then it will only move on once you get the note correct. So that's really helpful just to learn exactly what fingerings.
As a teacher, a few things that you always look for. One is how to maybe track student progress, how to grade student a bit quicker. And I think Piano Marble does help a lot with that.
We use the learn mode a lot more often, or at least I do when I'm trying to first look at a piece, because it splits it up into, you can do minced or chopped, so it'll do like, okay, just the right hand, just the left hand, just this set of measures, and then it'll keep moving up, and then it also does it at 3 different speeds. So, you know, you get it at the slowest speed, and it's like, okay, great job, now you can move on to the next speed, and so it slowly warms you up to get to that performance tempo.
So for students, I think one of the things that helps them is it makes them much more independent. I think like as a music teacher, we like to think that traditional method, you know, sometimes it's always better. You need personal connection, you know, of those things, verbal instructions. And it's true, a lot of the time, you always need that. But some of these technology, especially with group classes, it does speed things up. It makes our life as a teacher to arrange things, to grade things so much easier.
Great, so yeah, we just want to talk a little bit more about the Learn mode specifically.
So Learn mode is another great tool that Piano Marble suggests us to use. And it's been very helpful in classroom as for teachers and for students. And it's a great example of how technologies are being helpful in classroom. We all do know that students get very often frustrated or impatient when it comes to practice alone. Very often they don't follow our instructions. They maybe don't practice in slow tempos, maybe not always practice hands separately or in chunks. And Learn mode has all these done for them, and it suggests 3 ways, as Audrey said, minced, chopped, and the whole ways of practice. And each of them you can practice from slow to fast tempos and hands separately. And the last, the whole, will give you the left hand from the beginning to the end, for example, or right hand from the beginning to the end. This mode is very convenient in group piano teaching especially. I think we, as instructors, don't have enough time to work with each student individually in classroom, so Learn mode assists us in more productive classes and more productive practices.
Yeah, so in my group class, I always compare the Learn mode to Duolingo for piano. which I did hear that they're making a music app, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But it really, just like the Sasser, it helps students to get competitive with themselves, because you can see in the video there were each of those little stars. So they don't have to go through all of those. Those are really breaking it down into like left hand measures 1 through 4, right hand measures 1 through 4, hands together. They don't have to go through each and every one of them, but if they are struggling, that is there for them. It can just walk them through and kind of automate the practice process. And it gets them to be really competitive with themselves, because at the top there will be a percentage of how much they've done of the entire piece. So if they're working through hands separately or in little tiny chunks, it can be easy for them to get frustrated and say, I will never learn this whole thing by the test, like I've only done this much of it. Then we can actually look at their percentage that it gives you and say, if you keep working through these little broken up pieces, you will get there, like you're already 30% done and you just started it today. So that's been very helpful for them. And I've also used that a couple times with my private students, my kids students specifically. We've been mostly talking about college students, but some of my kids students have really liked this too, because again, it's just objective feedback. It's not me sitting there telling them, okay, so you need to make sure you can play this line by itself next time. Like they can play it into Piano Marvel and say, oh hey, I didn't do very well on that. I think I should do it again. I want to try and get a higher score. Or it will show them exactly what the problem was, and usually once they've done it a couple times, they will start to recognize it themselves. Before it even comes up with their score at the end, they'll say, oh, I want to do that again. Measure 3 was not that good. And it's very satisfying to see them grow that way. So really these two things, the Sasser and the Learn mode, both help to gamify it in some aspects, and then in the more practical aspect, it really helps them to see their own progress, and it gives them tools to take some agency over their learning process and really be able to see their progress and work to improve it in very manageable ways. So we will turn it over to our next presenters here. Oops. Okay.
All right, so this next group, come on up. They're going to talk about the value of video. You do have questions?
Yeah, if you want to do them at the end. But
yeah, we will plan to do questions at the end, and if we need time, if you have more questions, come to the Piano Marvel booth and find me.
Perfect, because I've got to go to a competition.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. All right, so this one is video projects. When we went to the studio, and I believe this is Nuoya's?
Angela's.
Angela's studio, okay. So he did a video, and we won't watch the whole thing. It's 4 minutes long, it's a long song. But you guys have all recorded your students before. We went ahead and did another video where we added some movement to it. You can be creative. I don't believe we used the gimbal on this one.
We did.
We did use it? Okay. Just come over here. But a little bit of movement helps a lot. I'd like to hear from them and just see what their experience is with having their students do video. And we'll go ahead and just see if I can pause that. Stop. I hate technology.
The owner of Piano Marvel says that.
All right, good. You guys want this too?
So I'm just going to give a short introduction to the student. Valerie is a music major and a grad student studying composition major. She previously been in music theater production and played percussion instrument in high school. We chose the lead sheet Hallelujah for the performance in the video project in hope that she could utilize her vocal abilities and train herself to accompany herself while singing.
So I'm going to talk about the goals of achieving through this video project. So nowadays, recording and editing our own performance has become essential skill. to master, especially going through the pandemic when events are moved online. Musicians are often just expected to perform at their best while the recording engineer can take care of the production and the rest. But in reality, we do need to wear many hats as a musician. So through this video project, I hope this not only inspires students when recording with recording engineering skills, but also as a reminder that music educators needs to present themselves and prepare for their students to present themselves in a positive light. So this could be a rewarding students like Valerie, who has many skill sets, like he sing in the music theater. That's why I chose the piece Hallelujah, that he can sing and start learning accompanying style with the piano, and also try to record himself because he's interested in the technical aspect of recording, like he knows how to use the interfaces like Focusrite as well. So this could be a rewarding experience for him, for both the teachers and students collaborating to create a video project. So I'll pass on to the more tech-savvy side to Jimmy for this presentation.
Thank you. So I just want to briefly talk about the production of these two videos. So in the first video, which is shot by me, and we had Valerie sang all 4 stanzas of the song, plus the chorus, in a pretty limited space. So remember, we're filming this in a classroom with a lot of computers and 2 grand pianos there. So there aren't a lot of space for us to work with. So after shooting the video and reviewing the first kind of draft, we noticed a couple problems. So the first of it is that the song is actually pretty long. So what we did was, in our second video, instead of doing all 4 stanzas, we reduced it to only 3. And we also worked to try to create a climax towards the end of the second verse. And we also simplified the ending, so just to create a little bit of drama in the piece. And also, as you have watched briefly in the final video, instead of shooting it from a still tripod, we are actually using a handheld smartphone gimbal that you saw Aaron just show you. That's not a metal detector. So so we use this gimbal, and we find it actually stabilize a lot of shaky movements, and also it works well for small spaces, because remember, in a small space you don't have a lot of room to work with, but with a handheld device it looks like we're playing it in a much bigger space, which kind of solves that space limitation. So what is the takeaway of this video project, right? First of all, Valerie herself, again, she was very interested in technology and compositions in general, and through this video, she actually learned how to create a recording, and also she learned a lot of editing skills in that as well. And I think in general, making a student or having a student make a performance video, it actually inspires them to work towards a goal. Because I don't know how many of you have that experience, but I certainly have that. So we probably all have some students who are less motivated. But one time I asked one of these students, when I asked her to record a video for an audition, after she played her first draft, let's say, and then I said, let's watch it together. And then she's like, oh, I don't like it. And she wanted to do it again. And then she wanted to do it again, and again, and again. And you know, teaching her for a couple years, I've never had that happen before, because usually when I ask how do you think you play, she said, oh, really good. So having them watch their own performance and aiming for that kind of perfection, but we know that perfection doesn't really exist, but motivating them to keep trying to get a better performance. And I think the kind of the video shooting aspect of that actually helped a lot in this case. And last but not least, I feel like with this video project, we also learned that the video project doesn't have to be boring from just one angle. And you also don't need any fancy equipment. It's not like we're shooting this with, you know, all these fancy cameras. We're just using a smartphone with a gimbal, and it already creates kind of like that Hollywood kind of film effect, and coupled with the motivational aspect to the students, we feel like that it's a really meaningful project.
Thank you. I have been using video in my teaching for a while now, and I love it. The one thing that I would add that they were not able to get, and I don't do this with all the students because it adds a little more complexity, is the audio recording portion of it. And so you guys heard the last one. Listen to this one, where we added movement, but then we also improved the sound quite a bit. So she actually recorded this on a clavinova and lip-synced it. So the recording sound is really good. And then she recorded her voice with headset and a microphone. And you can tell it just sounds way better. Doesn't that make it sound so much cooler? Like, and you can share this with your friends. But imagine everything you're learning when you put all those aspects together. We have found in Piano Marvel, we won't hire anybody, pianist or not pianist, that doesn't have video editing skills. And I have a feeling as more students go into teaching, university is going to look for this skill, because without it, I mean, they can find somebody who does have that and make it look good. So I think that's one of the things that I would highly recommend to start doing. Start small and then start adding later. Thank you for everybody. We have some time. Oh, we have games. We are running out of questions. Does anybody have a question they'd like to ask? If not, let's move right into the games. Okay, we're gonna move right into the games. A game idea. So Molly,
Yeah.
this was I won't play the whole video here,
Yeah, so I'm Molly Sanford.
but I would like to show games in the classroom.
So with the music ed class that I taught today, we were working on sight reading sort of as a game with, in pairs away from Piano Marvel. But that's because they've already had a lot of training with Piano Marvel, doing this faster.
So I'd like to know what you were doing in this game.
And
then there's another
it's
game
really
here.
helped them to keep.
Let's see if I can do
How are we going to be using piano? There's orchestras, especially choirs.
This one here.
And if you're a choir teacher, you just
This is a note-finding
parts,
game.
and you feel committed very easily.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm Molly Sanford.
So Molly, talk about some games.
Yeah. So I'll be quick. We were playing musical chairs in that first example, which is something we do a lot at CCM. That Dr. Conda advocates for that a lot. That was one of the things that Erin mentioned that she has us do, and I think it's really, really helped students because growing up in public schools in America, it seems like most of our students will know what musical chairs is, but maybe they haven't played it since they were 5. But even if they haven't heard of it, it's super easy to learn. So what we'll do is after they've learned a piece for some time, we will have one student play on the grand piano at the front of the room, and the other students will have to play musical chairs with the piano benches. So we push all the benches in, apart from however many students are left minus 1. And so then they'll walk around, and then when that student up front who is playing, when they decide to stop, then you saw my students scrambling for a bench to try and not be kicked out of musical chairs. And then the person who doesn't have a bench, they will have to come up and play next. So that has the added benefit of making the student who's playing just keep going, because if they hesitate or if they pause, then the students in the classroom will start scrambling for chairs, and they notice that right away. The first time that anybody pauses and everyone freaks out, they're like, oh, okay, we can't do that. Gotta just keep the beat, keep going. So that's been really helpful. And then the second one that we were doing was with Piano Marvel. They have flashcards at the end of each unit that you have to play on the keyboard. So it'll show you just one note at a time. You play it, it tells you yes or no, it'll move you on. So my students, we split them into 2 teams. So we had 2 students' laptops, and they were in a line. And so one person at a time, they would have to hit a flashcard, and then run around so the next person on their team could hit the flashcard, and then whichever team finished first was the winner. So they got pretty competitive with that. Those were non-music majors, and they had a lot of fun. Plus, it helps too to just, both of those things get them off the bench and get them moving. So yeah, that's been very helpful and engaging. And I know we're out of time, so I guess we can just pause it there and ask for any other questions about any of the things. Yeah.
Can you just sum up really briefly just the technological needs of the lab for this? Does it work with just standard MIDI, and I notice everyone has their own laptop, or does the school provide that?
Yeah, Aaron, if you want to say more about that too, but we do have our students bring their laptops. Our non-major students already had been doing that before we switched over to Piano Marble. And our music major students, we discovered that they have laptops anyways now. Like that maybe was a concern before the pandemic, that they wouldn't have laptops, but that has actually been a non-issue for us. They've all just brought their laptops or their iPads. And most universities too, I think, will have programs where they can get students access to laptops.
I'm guessing they're not phones.
There is a phone version, but in the classroom we have them use their iPads or their computers. There is a phone version.
Just an iPhone app right now. The Android app is not going to be done for another few months.
Yeah, so what we do is we have their computers on top of the piano, and it just plugs in with a USB or USB-C and an aux. So we have a little packet for them that tells them like everything they will need if they need adapters, because some iPads, don't have the aux. We just have that in a little page for them saying, here's the adapters, here's what you need. It's super easy. Basically, we figure out how to plug everything in on day one, and then it's fine from there.
And I highly recommend asking me for advice on what cables to buy. I can save you a ton of time because I've tried thousands. I feel like thousands. Maybe that's an exaggeration.
How do you know what cable to buy to connect your digital piano to your device so that you can get perfect precision using Piano Marvel? Well, let me show you. You can see, today I'm going to show you how to connect your Android tablets, your Android phone, your Windows computer, Chromebook, your MacBook, your iPads or iPhone, and all with just a couple of cables. Make sure to check the description in this video where I recommend cables that I've tested personally and that I recommend. This cable right here has a USB end, and that will go into your piano. On the other side of this cable, you can see it has both a USB-C and a USB-A side. So these are great because you can plug into almost any computer. Now, if you have an iPad that's USB-C, that's fine. But what if you have an iPad that's Lightning or your phone that takes Lightning? What you'll need is an adapter that you plug in the USB-A into the camera part and then plug this into your Lightning port. Now that's great if your piano has a USB-B port, but what if your piano is so old it only has MIDI in and MIDI out? Then I recommend this cable. Unless your piano has a USB micro, then I recommend this cable with this adapter. For the next part, it looks like it's time to find out what your piano has. You might want a flashlight for this part. Let's go check it out. Sometimes it's really hard to find the port. Here it is, MIDI in and MIDI out. Oh, but this piano, look at this, what I found. There is a USB-B port. This one only has a MIDI in and MIDI out. It only has a USB micro. This one's my favorite, it's so easy to see. USB, easy. It's time to buy your cable. Go to the description in the video, open up this link, and if you found that you have a USB-B port on your piano, click on this link and buy your cable today. If you found that you have a MIDI in and MIDI out port, click on this link and buy your cable. Don't forget, if you're trying to connect to an iPad that uses Lightning or an iPhone, make sure to get your camera adapter. And if you have a USB micro on your piano, click this link, and don't forget, if you need an adapter, make sure to buy it now.
Thank you very much. This here, anybody have an idea of this gimbal, how much it costs? It's $78 on Amazon. So I also have a recommendation, like a whole sheet of things that I recommend. That would be very helpful. If you put your email address already in that form, I'm going to send you an email. I'll send you an email to links to cables and the best way to hook things up as well. I ordered a chicken online and an egg online. I don't know which one's going to come first. But I'd like a round of applause for everybody who presented today. Thank you. Finished right on time.